What's up, everybody? We are live for BetSided Best Bets. The whole BetSided crew is here, back at our humble abodes after a week together in New York. Ben Heisler with Peter Dewey, Donovan Smoot, Reed Wallach, and Ian McMillan. Our outstanding video director, Joanne Stoner, with us as well. All right, guys, we've gone through an entire first and second round, and now we all have an opportunity to come together and put together the perfect March Madness second chance bracket. This is going to be the bracket that wins somebody $1 million from some site that's probably not from us. We are going to collectively put our five heads together to make this the most meaningful and substantial second chance bracket that you've ever put together. I for one, am very excited because I still have a few teams left in my Final Four. I don't know if you guys can stay the same, but I'm ready to go ahead and make this final push. There's far less upsets to have to worry about. I think we're finally down the right track here. Is everybody feeling as confident as I am when putting this together as a team?
I'm confident about one team, Ben. Very confident about one team. My bracket got busted on day one, but I'm very confident about one team still to make the Final Four. So we'll get to that, though.
Okay. We'll see where that argument lies. I do say I admire the confidence because I know your team, the Kentucky Wildcats, out on day one. Peter going against a college that shares his namesake. Like, what are you doing? Like, that was a golden opportunity that I feel like you missed out on.
I should have supported the MAC, considering I went to Quinnipiac and they play in the MAC. But I was a little bitter. St. Peter's knocked Quinnipiac out in the MAC semis. So Kentucky's also my team. Just I talked about how we should be betting on some of these coaches. Shout out to Rick Barnes because I faded him. John Calipari is one of the coaches you should bet against. That man he's not an X and O's guy, and I let my bias get the best of me. So that's on me.
All right, Donovan, you were on Team Tennessee. You were on board the Rick Barnes train. So he's done. He's dead to you now.
It was so bad. That on top, because I was with Peter, because I had Kentucky winning it all, and I just came out of like the first two rounds just looking like an idiot. Literally that was my national championship game was Kentucky Tennessee, and it was done. Right. And so Rick Barnes, you're dead to me. Calipari, go coach some NBA team and make a lot more money and do whatever. Just try something else because it's not working. And just go. I'm over it.
Wow. I did not anticipate that at the beginning of the show we would be talking about John Calipari leaving Kentucky to go back to the NBA, but might as well. We've only been talking about it for like the last 10, 12 years. Reed or Ian, anything from the first couple rounds really stick out, maybe give you a little bit of inclination heading into the Sweet 16? Reed, I can start with you on this one.
Yeah, I gave a bunch of thoughts on Bet and Breakfast Monday, so I won't take up too much time for Ian, but I still got a few futures alive. Arizona, I know Ian is there with me on the Wildcats. Definitely not the easiest path. I'd say probably the toughest for the three remaining one seeds. So definitely interesting. And I'm pumped against this bracket and see where everyone lands. I know we all filled out our own bracket. Ben, you have those results.
I do. I have the collective matchups together. Ian, any last words before we dive in?
Can you guys hear the ice cream truck outside?
I'm gonna
I'd jump out and get a little ice cream sandwich here first, if that's all right. No, I mean, the only thing that I know from this first weekend was that I had one of the worst betting days of my life on Thursday. I started off 2-0 and then finished the day on a 2-14 run, which is almost impossible. It was discouraging to say the least. I went back that night to my girlfriend's place, and I just kept repeating, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. We went bowling that night, so I had a couple of drinks into me, and she told me that the next morning, that I just kept repeating myself. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. But that's March Madness for you. It's unpredictable. So hopefully I do a little bit better in these last couple of rounds than I did the first day. I did bounce back a little bit. I had a decent weekend, but I still got some work to do to get back into the green with my bets. So I'm hoping for the best in the Sweet 16. I'm ready.
All right, and also looking forward to when the three of us, myself, you, Ian, and Donovan, will be together on Thursday's edition of Bet and Breakfast, and they will find out. I know you came to an initial consensus, but you still have opportunities to change your mind. Ian, of course, on last week's Best Bets video, said that if Peter's Arkansas Razorbacks go to the Final Four, he will indeed get a Razorback tattoo. Not sure as to where the tattoo will be.
That's a nervous smile. That's a nervous smile.
We have also found out that that Ian's girlfriend does not approve of the tattoo that could potentially be coming. So the risk tolerance is starting to grow a little bit further and further each day. I've given him an out, which we'll discuss on Thursday's Bet and Breakfast, so make sure you guys tune in for that. Let's dive into this bracket, okay? Let's start in the West region with that very round. You have Gonzaga and Arkansas. If we're looking purely based off the odds for this game, Gonzaga a 9-point favorite over at WynnBET Sportsbook. Total coming in at a nice high number of 155. And I know that there's a lot to like about this Gonzaga team. And I know that there's some really, there's a lot of intrigue when it comes to them being the number one seed in the tournament. Got that scare against Memphis. But we have to go with Team Razorback because, Peter, I know you want to go ahead and try and make this case for the Razorbacks to go ahead and knock off the number one team. We have one end of the spectrum where Ian says that this team sucks versus your perspective of Arkansas could possibly make it to the Final Four. So let's make that argument. Tell me why Arkansas should be moving on in our whole collective BetSided second chance bracket. The floor is yours.
Yeah, it's the defense, Ben. They're not offensively going to be able to really hang with this Gonzaga team. That does scare me. They did not play well offensively against New Mexico State. They shot below 40% from the field. They're in the bottom. They're outside the top 300 in three-point percentage this year. But defensively, I think Arkansas can match up with this Gonzaga team. And you look at what Gonzaga did the first couple rounds. They let Georgia State hang around till all their bigs fouled out. Memphis, you can make the argument Memphis kind of blew that game in the second round. I think Gonzaga's live to get upset. I don't think they're that good. They have not looked good in the tournament. They're 0-2 against the spread. I think Arkansas is live to get this. I saw this matchup waiting. I liked it since the bracket came out. I really don't believe in this Gonzaga team. They're going to have to beat you with Drew Timme and Chet Holmgren down low. I think you can throw some bodies at them just like Memphis did, and I think Arkansas is a better defensive team than Memphis is. So give me the Razorbacks, man.
Yeah, no. That's not going to happen. I mean, the Catamounts kind of let me down in the first round. They should have won. They could have won. They kind of blew it there at the end. But Arkansas, like you said, they barely got past Vermont. They barely got past New Mexico State. Now they're going to beat the number one overall seed. Not going to happen. The only way that any team's going to beat Gonzaga in this tournament is you have to shoot the three ball well. And Arkansas is one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the country, ranking like 305th or something in three-point field goal percentage. So terrible matchup for them. All their points come down low, and good luck getting points down low against Chet Holmgren and Drew Timme. So am I upset that I have to sweat this tattoo bet heading into the Sweet 16? Yes. I thought the Catamount should have and could have won, but I'm not nervous at all because this is a terrible matchup for Arkansas. Gonzaga is going to win by 20.
Yeah, I'm sitting here with Arkansas future myself taken before the tournament started just to go to the Final Four. I have like 14-1 or something. Not a great matchup. The one, and I like Arkansas. I'm an Arkansas truther. I think they're very good. It's more, again, just where's the shooting going to come from? You need to put up some sort of shot-making performance against Gonzaga to keep up with them. They're going to get their 70, 75 points. Arkansas may want to run with them, but love Arkansas. I'm just not sure. You're going to need like a JD Notte insane performance. He picked up like 4 charges in the second half against New Mexico State. So that, I mean, listen, he's going to have to stay out of foul trouble. Maybe Holmgren gets in the foul trouble. Can Arkansas win? Do they have the talent? Yeah, sure. I'm not betting on it, though. I just don't think that this is the best matchup for them. But I'm going to be rooting them on because I have a future on them, and I want to see Ian get a tattoo, Razorback. But I don't love what I see. I mean, listen, their ceiling can get to like winning this game and being live. I just again, they're 9-point underdogs for a reason. So I don't really see them as live as some of the other teams in the bracket. As I don't see a dog barking like I believe it's probably Ben's dog barking.
Yes, Luna is a big fan of Arkansas as well.
No. The dog barking is a sign. Who's Gonzaga? What are they? What's their logo?
Oh no, that's more like a woof woof. That's like a
Throw the
deeper
Bulldogs. Arr, 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 arr.
yeah, like
Who knows?
like a deeper bark.
Who knows?
So now I have a dilemma on my hands. Do I go and I support my beautiful beast Luna and go with either the Bulldog side or the underdog side? She tends to typically bark when we're talking about underdogs. So I do think she is leaning towards Arkansas. Unfortunately, she doesn't have a vote in the mix here. She's really going off about something. I'll have to figure that out in a little bit. Ideal timing, Luna. Thank you. Don, have you got to play on this game?
Yeah. Peter, I'm sorry. I got to go against you. Is Gonzaga and I'm going to go to a more like intangible type of breakdown, but what Gonzaga looks like right now is a bored team. They got caught by St. Peter's, right? And what did they do? In a 10-minute span, went from a tie game to a 28 or 25 point lead, whatever it was. You see them
Georgia
against
State you're talking about, but yes, go on.
Oh, yes. Thank you. And then you see them against Memphis, and they almost get caught. They have to turn it on at the end. They are a team that's trying to get back to the Final Four. They are a team. They are a program that is only going to be defined by whether or not they can get a national championship. That's the entire narrative around Gonzaga, around Mark Few. If they can get back there, if they can get the chip. If they don't, then they're just going to be Gonzaga, who's just this mid-major powerhouse that can't ever get back there. I think that they are finally locked in. They've gotten through the first two, and you're going to see a motivated Gonzaga team. And I think from what we've seen in the first two rounds, them at their best are as good as anybody in the country. I think that's what you're going to get against Arkansas.
All right, Peter.
They're so good that they're bored is a spin zone that I can get behind.
I can't get behind that spin zone. I think that's a crazy spin zone, that you're bored that you played bad in the NCAA tournament. Like, let's not give Gonzaga all the credit. Oh, they're bored, so Memphis stayed in the game. Memphis stayed in the game because Gonzaga didn't play well. If they do that against Arkansas, they're gonna get punched in the mouth. Hey, Arkansas is a much better team than Memphis. They got bored against Georgia State and Memphis. Arkansas can punch them in the mouth defensively. If Arkansas shoots anywhere better than from three than they did against New Mexico State, this is a game. Like, Arkansas is going to cover regardless. I don't even think that's a question.
I'll give you that. I will actually give you that. I do think that Arkansas can cover.
I'm not
and keep this game close.
on teams that are not playing hard. Like, if that's your argument that they're bored, that tells me they're ready for an upset. If they think they're so much better walking into this game than Arkansas, yeah, I think they will get upset then. Unless they come out with a sense of urgency. You're not going to be able to turn it on like you did against Georgia State against this team. We're getting down. There's 16 teams left for a reason. So I don't like their current form coming into this game at all.
If there was going to be a game that they were going to get caught, it was going to be the Memphis game. That's the one. That's the one where you get caught. And now you're finally in the Sweet 16. Listen, now you're in the rounds where all the rounds have like catchy names. You got the Sweet 16, Elite 8. Now you know that you're in the nitty gritty of the NCAA tournament. You know exactly where you are, and Gonzaga is going to be just fine. They're going to be just fine.
You're talking about current form, and you're supporting a team that just almost lost to Vermont and New Mexico State. Arkansas hasn't played anybody yet. They're lucky to be in this spot.
Bold play by Ian to talk about how they almost lost to Vermont and New Mexico State when you would have had them winning those very games. Just trying to flip it on its head a little bit.
Yeah, Vermont's pretty good.
All right.
Okay.
So I think we have a general consensus here. I think there is one aspect for you, Peter, that I think you could make a compelling argument with one question that I'm about to ask you. Okay. I told you that Arkansas is plus 350 on the money line in this game. Have you bet Arkansas on the money line yet?
No, I bet them against the spread.
All right, Gonzaga moves on.
Oh, what a coward!
I haven't done it.
What a coward!
This line's moving. It was at 8. It's at
The
9
truth
now.
comes
I'm
out.
gonna get it the best.
No.
Don't you worry.
Put your money where your mouth is.
I'll send you the bet slip when I bet at money line. I'm waiting till it gets like plus 11 because everybody thinks Gonzaga is going to win, and then I will take the money line.
All right.
Compelling, Peter. You made a strong case. I just think too much against here. I think collectively the BetSided team is taking Gonzaga.
I'll be on the right side of history. It's fine, guys.
You know what? If you do, come back and prove us all wrong, and we'll eat it collectively on the next episode of Best.
You'll take the Must Bus to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, full on, and Eric Musselman gets to go back to Golden State, which is pretty cool for him as well. So Gonzaga moves on that part of the West region in the second chance tournament. They will now face the winner of a fascinating game between Texas Tech, the 3 seed, and the number 2 seeded Blue Devils. This was really fun because we got a chance to talk about this very game a couple weeks ago. Reed, you and I did when going through our bracket matchups with Chris Patola. So I'll start with you here. Texas Tech, elite level defense, Duke, top 5 in offensive efficiency. It's just a matter of how much Duke, with this amount of time, can adjust to arguably the best defense in the country. It sounds like, based on your perspective, at least from a couple weeks ago, that the Texas Tech, even as a 1-point favorite, should probably win this game comfortably. Are you still at that point?
Yeah, I bet Texas Tech. I think that they're the better team. This is a spot I circled when the brackets came out. Really just perfect draw for me as someone who hasn't really thought very highly of Duke for months now. Really just lack of execution for the Blue Devils. We saw them drop in level, and Michigan State took the lead with about 4 minutes left. Yeah, sure, they ended up coming back and they won. I get it. Michigan State also isn't very good. Texas Tech is very good. This is a team full of veterans. They have the best defense in the country. I get that their offense may leave a little bit of desired, but this is a young Duke team that just doesn't have the experience that Texas Tech does. Even Texas Tech, some of their transfers, Kevin O'Banner came from Oral Roberts. They went to the Sweet 16 last year. These guys have been there before. They could switch 1 to 5. I don't think Duke is able to execute and win this game. I like the Red Raiders here to win and send Coach K home. And I know I'm setting myself up for 50 free throws for Duke, 10 to Texas Tech. I'm playing shooting guard at one point. I know that that's what's probably going to happen. But listen, I think Tech's a better team. I think they win this one.
All right, we got to vote in for Tech. What about you, Donovan? Are you back in the Red Raiders here? Are you staying in the Big 12, or is this a case where we should be sending Duke on a little bit forward?
Send Duke on. I'm not backing Texas Tech. I think I think this game is going to be extremely close, and the shot making for Texas Tech concerns me. I think once you get down into that minus 5 minutes and under, somebody's going to have to hit a shot, and whether it's tied, whether if you hit a free throw or not, I don't think Texas Tech has that capability. What I took away, and you'll see from a lot of my picks moving forward, is that the mental toughness that I saw from a lot of these teams in the round of 32, I really admire, and I like that from Duke a lot. I think that for a young team, like Reed said, to be down in that situation and still be able to get baskets down the stretch, get some stops. They showed me a lot against Michigan State. And so I think that when it comes down to, the final 2 minutes and it's actually close, I'm not that concerned about Duke's execution. And so I think that they'll be okay.
I got to go Texas Tech. I agree with Reed. I think just defensively, they're going to make this a tough game. If they can play it at their style and kind of just muck it up, I like this game for them. I'm not a Duke believer. They've shown too many times this year that they just fall flat in a spot where you're like, well, how did that happen? I also am not buying into the Coach K winning a championship in his last year narrative, so I got to get him out of here as soon as possible. So give me
the refs are going to do their hardest. They're going to try their hardest to make sure that happens, though. They will do whatever it takes.
I agree with that. And that is a concern for me, even as somebody who wrote up Texas Tech over at BetSided is a play that I like for this week. I even think that this line is going to move over at WinBet. It's at -1 now. It's actually moved to -1.5 at a few other books. There's something about I got a chance to watch, and again, this is just one perspective, but I saw Texas Tech up close and personal take KU, who never loses at home, into double overtime, and really sort of their bugaboo was a few missed free throws at the end, and not closing out a couple times on Ochai Agbaji just getting a couple wide open looks. But that was so uncharacteristic of them versus how they switch on defense. And one of the things that Chris Patola told us too was like, this is a team that is like 22, 23, 24, like from your average age. Like we're not talking about guys that like need a fake ID to get into a college bar in Lubbock where you need something to do. These guys have been going to that bar. They're regulars now at that bar. Like these are savvy veterans from Texas Tech that know what their singular focus is on the defensive side of the ball. And I think it's going to piss off Duke. I think they know what they like to do, especially trying to get some inside looks. Obviously, if they make threes, there's only so much that Texas Tech can do on the perimeter. But I'm very much leaning Texas Tech here. Ian, I don't know about you.
Yeah, my opinion on this game's flipped. I have Duke in my original bracket, but I'm not a big fan of Texas Tech. I don't think they'll win the national championship. And the reason why is because of turnovers. One of the worst teams in the country in turning the ball over. But someone pointed this out to me on Twitter. Duke doesn't force turnovers. So Texas Tech's biggest weakness shouldn't be too big of a weakness against a Duke team that's like 310th or something in opponent turnovers. So I'll go with Texas Tech now. I've changed my mind in this game.
Yeah, and just last thing, and I've been saying it for months, like there's a serious coaching advantage here for Texas Tech. Like light leaps and bounds. Like you could say whatever you want about Coach K, his career and everything. Coach K's been a terrible coach for years now. Like he just hasn't done anything. And you've seen in these games, second half adjustments, they're not there. They're non-existent. This team looks unprepared. They look young and they look inexperienced, which they are. Like I get it. Paolo Banchero, AJ Griffin, these guys are great, but that's individuals. This Texas Tech team is a team. And that's why they have the best defense. And Mark Adams, one of the best coaches in the league. He was defensive coordinator for Chris Beard at Texas Tech. Look at what happened when Beard left Tech and went to Texas. They kind of took it. They weren't what everyone thought they were going to be. So maybe Mark Adams was really the engine behind that. So I think you're going to see a Tech team that looks crisp, looks ready to play. And then you're going to see a Duke team that isn't really used to this style. We've seen the Big 12 kind of look a little bit better, especially on the offensive end, than they looked in the regular season because all these elite defenses were beating up on each other. We saw TCU go toe-to-toe with Arizona. We saw Iowa State. I know it was gross, but they still beat Wisconsin. Like maybe these Big 12 teams were a little undervalued. So I think that's something to keep in mind. So, yeah, I'm big on Tech here. I think they move on.
Yeah, the floor of some of these Big 12 teams that have continued to move on. I'm trying to remember who exactly put out that stat, but they've been outstanding so far in the tournament, and it's really started to show up at crucial times. By the way, Trisha weighs in on our YouTube live stream talking about Texas Tech. They will never graduate. Yep. You know what? You might as well. You keep on getting an extra year of eligibility, move around in the transfer portal, and play. It's like that scene from Billy Madison where he grabs the kid in his third grade class, and grabs his cheeks. He goes, "No, stay as long as you can. Stay." If you're a college basketball player living that dream, you might as well enjoy it. Donovan, it seems like you are a bit outnumbered here with Duke, so I will give you one final opportunity to make your case to see if they'll move on.
Look, Texas Tech, and I have a couple numbers for y'all. So Texas Tech shoots 32.2% from three. That's 251st in the country. From the free throw line, they shoot 70% flat. That's 233rd. If we're talking about getting late into the tournament and you can't shoot threes and you can't shoot free throws, I'm not a fan of that. I think that Texas Tech is one-dimensional. And now that one dimension is amazing, right? Their defense is fantastic. But if I can't get behind teams who can't score. And so with Duke, I just trust the offense. I trust their shot making a lot more. And so I'm gonna roll with them.
Okay. All right. So Donovan's for Duke. Peter, Reed, Ian, are you guys still all on the Texas Tech train? Has there been any movement in any direction?
Tech. Raiders.
For what it's worth, Donovan, I think I'm leaning more towards Duke now. It's not going to matter. The majority rules here. Texas Tech moves on. So you have a matchup between Texas Tech and Gonzaga over in that final West region, which we'll get to in just a little bit. But close game, Coach K getting the calls. Like now that's really starting to creep into my head. Like they don't want Duke to go down. And I think Texas Tech, unfortunately,
not yet.
If it's close, it's not going to be able to take advantage. All right. So that's how we're looking at things over in the West. Let's continue on to the East. Couple of, certainly some blue bloods. I don't know if you can necessarily say that's the case for UCLA anymore. They've obviously gone to the championship game under Mick Cronin a couple of years ago, but now they are a 4 seed going up against North Carolina. New regime there under Hubert Davis. In this matchup, you have the Bruins as 2.5-point favorites going up against the Tar Heels in the East region. This is a fairly compelling matchup, and I think one we're going to have a little bit of differing opinions. So I personally am looking towards the side of UCLA. I think North Carolina, watching them nearly collapse in that second round was a bit concerning for me. And so I'll start with you on this one, Ian. I know that the Tar Heels might have given you a bit of a scare, but you like them moving forward. Why?
Yeah, I do, because their biggest issue all season has been their defense, but now they're all of a sudden playing some very good lockdown defense. They kind of remind me of Michigan, a team that's talented, a team that's talent skill-wise is probably better than what their seeding indicates, but struggled in the regular season at times, specifically on defense. But they've stepped it up on defense. I'm all in on Manic Mania. Brady Manic is an absolute beast for them. That's kind of what caused Baylor to come back, is when he got ejected there for the flagrant foul. So I'm all in on UNC. UCLA also has some shooting issues at times. They're a very average shooting team. So I think UNC, I think they're going to be able to lock them down and do enough to get the win here.
I got to take the other side, Ian. I got to take UCLA in this spot. I think my big thing is, I think if UCLA watched any, which obviously they did at the Baylor game, like, you just got to put pressure on this team. I don't know what UNC does against pressure if they can advance the ball. I mean, the fact that Baylor was able to come back in that game, it just should never happen. Like, the guard play is concerning. That worries me. Obviously, Jaime Jaquez, if he can't play for UCLA, he hurt his ankle in that last game. That is a big concern offensively for them. But I like this Bruins team. I had them in the Elite Eight in my original bracket. Almost had them beating Kentucky, which now I really wish I did. So I'm going to roll with them here. I think they've been undervalued all year. I thought they shouldn't have gotten a 4. I thought they were going to at least be a 3. So I'm not sold on this Tar Heels team. That collapse against Baylor was not great.
Well, once again, I mean, they're up 13 when Brady Manic, who I think is the best player, got ejected. So I'm not buying into that.
They're up like 20 something.
Yeah, they're up like 25.
How much were they up when he got ejected?
Like 20 something.
20 something.
Yeah.
20 something.
Okay, so I kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt. So yeah, Brady Manic can play. He is, then yeah, take UCLA. But he's back in the lineup. His gross beard is back in the lineup. UCLA is going to be distracted by that hair on his chin. He is.
Listen, Ian, I'm right there with you. And like, look, I understand the collapse wasn't great, but they're playing the number 1 seed. They're playing the defending national champion. So I want to give them a little bit of credit. But like Ian said, the defense is crazy. If they shoot the way that they started the game, right? If RJ Davis is doing what he's doing, I think that they win this game pretty comfortably. I mean, North Carolina they have the feel of one of those teams that can, like, out of all the lower seeds, I trust North Carolina probably the most to make, a Final Four run, potentially. So I like the defense. I like the shooting. UCLA, they've kind of I haven't been sold on them all year, and so I'm very comfortable taking North Carolina to upset them.
Yeah, I don't have a really strong opinion. I think I ended up taking UCLA in my bracket. This is a UCLA team I thought was overrated going into the year. Now I think they're kind of underrated. North Carolina, I've had trouble figuring out. They're finally kind of playing their best ball. Don't have a strong opinion. I will say I lean towards UCLA because I think they can slow down UNC. They play at a much more methodical pace. They protect the ball very well. Top 5 in turnover rate. They play in a bottom 100 tempo. I think they're going to be able to out-execute UNC. And if the shots aren't falling, listen, if UNC is going to shoot like nearly 50% from 3 again, yeah, they're probably going to advance and win the national title. That's just how it works. But I think UCLA kind of out-executes them. Pete makes a good point about Hawk has his ankle. I give a lean to UCLA, but I'm not all in slam whale max play type stuff on this one.
I'm good. I'm
Ben,
glad
I think that makes you the tiebreaker. I think
it does. And I came in leaning a certain way. I wanted to have the opportunity to hear all sides of the argument, and then I also wanted to go and take a look at how they match up face to face. So, obviously the calling card of UCLA all season has been the fact that they're a very good adjusted efficiency team on both sides of the ball. They rank 12th in offense. They rank 13th in defense. So again, that goes to the metric that if you're in that top 20 category, 19 of the last 21 teams have won the national championship. So they can hang around. But UCLA's defense has not been particularly good over their last 5 games, and Carolina's has been. When it comes to actually how they rank together in the last 5 games, North Carolina's net rating is 96th percentile. UCLA's is 82nd. Both teams been very good in offensive rating. 95th percentile for UCLA, 91st for offensive rating for North Carolina. But then on defense, for as good as UCLA has been all year, they've struggled over the last 5 games. North Carolina, conversely, has actually been very good. North Carolina's defensive ranking is in the 89th percentile over the last 5 games. UCLA is in the 39th percentile. I'm going to go with the hotter team here. I'm actually going to change my pick and lean towards North Carolina. I have the Tar Heels, the better team as of late, continuing this hot streak and playing well, getting that full team back. So I will take that deciding vote to heart, and we will move the Tar Heels on over to the next round. So there you go. That's the first
Heels.
The only team UCLA has allowed over 50 points to in their last 4 games is Arizona. I mean, I don't know. I'm not out on their defense yet, but fair enough.
Fair enough. I'll let the metrics decide. So I'm sorry. North Carolina moves on over in the East region, and then that brings up Purdue versus St. Peter's. Probably not a whole lot of time to spend on this one. I think all 5 of us fairly in consensus. If somebody wants to just completely turn heel and make their case for St. Peter's to win outright, I'm willing to hear it because I think it's going to be fascinating. But this is just going to be too much Purdue, too much Jaden Ivey. St. Peter's magical run comes here. And also, Shaheen Holloway already has the Seton Hall job whenever he wants it. So I think the Cinderella story ends in the Sweet 16.
The only case I'll make for St. Peter's is Matt Painter finds a way to lose these types of games. He was the Purdue was trying to lose that game against Texas despite all the free throws. So if you believe in the fading the coach thing, then St. Peter's is your pick. But just the size advantage is too much.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if we're talking spread, you can make a case for that. But I mean, there's a reason why no 15 seed has ever made the Elite Eight. In order for these deep-seeded teams to win these games, you have to have A-plus game after A-plus game after A-plus game after A-plus game. And not only that, you need your opponents to have like a C game, C game, C game, D game, F game. That's what happened in the first round against Kentucky. They had an A-plus game. Kentucky had like a D-plus game at best. They managed to pull that one out. Similar story in Murray State, although St. Peter's didn't play quite as well, but easier competition. Yeah. But now you got to play against Purdue. So to play at that level, especially because now you have the break, the first weekend, you can kind of carry that momentum from the first 100%. Big win into a couple days. And now you have a week off. You kind of mentally reset to now come back out and have another A-plus game and hope that Purdue has a C game in order to win. Just not going to happen because they could have an A-plus game. Purdue has like a B-plus game. Purdue will still win. They're just too talented, too skilled. There's a reason why the St. Peter's Peacocks are the 15 seed. So
they
you're
know
a crazy
they're
person if you think they win this game.
Purdue knows they're that week gives Purdue, it's not like a team is kind of jumping on you anymore. They know what's coming for you.
No doubt. All right, so Purdue moves on. Let's take a quick look at where our collective second chance bracket is at the moment. We've gone through the West region. We've gone through the South. Gonzaga and Texas Tech moving on, as well as North Carolina and Purdue. 2 number 3 seeds moving on. The remaining 3 seeds are in. No 2 seeds left when it comes to the left side of the bracket. All right, let's move on to the Midwest region where the Kansas Jayhawks, the number 1 seed in that region, are taking on the Providence Flyers. There's some intrigue about Providence because they've actually had one of the best weekends of all these teams as far as their ability to make shots. And they've answered a lot of doubters. I'm not going to bring up shot quality because I don't want Reed's head to explode, even though Richmond technically, outbeat them in the shot quality category. It really doesn't matter because they still lost by 18. Having said that, I think it's going to be a fairly daunting task for Providence in this matchup. Reed, I know you disagree. Tell me why Providence is moving on.
Yeah, I think my shot quality hate is being misguided. I use shot quality all the time. I think it's a great resource. I just think that it needs to be used in the right place. But yeah, I think Kansas's defense is a little overrated. They were able to let a Creighton team without their two best players go toe-to-toe with them. And I hold Providence in a pretty high regard. Creighton has a really good D. Providence's D is pretty solid too. They're a little bit more balanced, I'd say. And yeah, maybe Providence won't shoot the nets off again, but I think they could go shot for shot with Kansas, who they really only play one big man, David McCormick. He's been a little banged up. Mitchell Lightfoot, he's all right. But I think Nate Watson could hold his own end. You got guys like Bynum and Reeves on the outside around Al Durham, a lot of veterans. I just think I went with Providence in my bracket just because I wanted to change it up. I know I'm probably going to lose this vote, but I think Providence is live. I bet them on the spread already. Maybe I'll sprinkle on the money line. I just think that I think Arizona has a tough path. Houston, I think everyone assumes Gonzaga is going to roll. It feels like Kansas is walking to the Final Four. And maybe that's like not the case. Like, I don't know. Like, I just think like everyone's kind of wrote off this bracket already. So like, I'll bet against. I'll go a little contrarian. I think Providence, maybe like they are just good. Like I've been saying all year, like maybe they're just all right. And maybe they could hang with Kansas, who has had trouble blowing out teams, I'd say.
That's fair. Like if you think Providence is going to cover, that's cool. They're not going to win. I think Kansas's offense is too good. I think that I don't think that Providence can go shot for shot with Kansas. I think if we get into a high scoring game, which is actually something that I think is going to happen, and we're going to see kind of a lot of points be scored, I think Kansas gets the better of them here. Look, Kansas can shoot at all three levels. The one concern for me, they're not like fantastic on the free throw line, and if it ends up getting into a late game situation, I don't love them there. But they're sixth in offensive efficiency. They do play, their adjusted tempo is 69.4, the 64th in the country. They can get up and down, and so if you're talking about the track meet and a very efficient offense, I trust that.
Anybody else going on the side of Providence, or are we leaning towards Jayhawks as a team here?
I'm leaning Kansas too, just because I think Ochai Agbaji did not have a good game against Creighton. I think he started 3 for 13 or something like that. So Remy Martin played very well. So I'm not going to tell they kind of ended up balancing itself out. But I think if he has a good offensive game, I just don't know if Providence has the firepower to stay with him. I do think this is going to be a close game, though. I think I was personally wrong on Providence. I thought they were going to lose first round. They're a good team. Everybody kind of just, myself included, thought they just kind of got lucky all season. But they know how to win games, which is an important thing. It matters. Winning games, guys, it matters. Crazy to think about.
All right.
Just if this game's gonna be tight late, like I'll take a shot. Like Kansas isn't good at running away from teams.
One thing I'll say about Providence, when everyone thinks the team's overrated, they're actually underrated, and that's I think what Providence has kind of proven to us. But hey, I'm on Providence to cover the spread. But if we're just talking about the team to advance, there's very few, if any, statistics that Providence ranks better in than Kansas, especially shooting. Kansas like 25th in effective field goal percentage. Providence is like 150th or 170th, something like that. So, you picking Providence to advance, I'm not going to, say that it's outrageous. Like saying Arkansas is going to advance, that's outrageous. Saying Providence is going to advance, not outrageous, but I do have to side with Kansas. They are just the better team. That's just the way it is. Is it going to be a close game? Certainly could be for sure. But I have to just go with the team. It's very hard, I think, when I'm looking at the numbers, to come up with a case for Providence to win outright. If you're just making a bracket to try to stick out, sure, it's tough to, it could certainly happen, but we're trying to make a perfect bracket here. Let's just pick the better team.
All right. Very good arguments across the board. I lean Kansas as well, and I mentioned this with Reed on Bet and Breakfast on Monday. When Providence's regression hits, and we've been waiting for it to hit all season, it's going to be very, very ugly. They've had some bad losses this year, just blowout fashion where nothing's working and everything of what they've been able to do in a lot of these close wins over the course of the season just completely falls apart. So, I think about that 85-58 loss to Creighton in the second round of the Big East tournament. Like, Creighton's not a particularly good offensive team, but there were so many letdowns on the defensive side. They didn't make shots. They had that game back in January where they got blown out by Marquette by 32 points. There's just moments in their season where everything just kind of gets blown up. That loss against Virginia back in November. So when they lose, it tends to be very big losses. And I think if Kansas hits some shots early, I think they could ultimately blow them out of the water. So give me Kansas to move on. They will be our pick in that first portion of the Midwest region. And then a bit surprising here, we have a 10 seed and go ahead, Ian.
Just quick little anecdote. I was watching the Kansas Creighton game at a bar in Brooklyn, and everyone sitting inside was Kansas fans, and everyone sitting on the patio was Creighton fans. It was electric. So fun little anecdote. It was fun to take part in that. A lot of Kansas fans in Brooklyn, I guess.
They're everywhere,
Jayhawk.
Man. They're everywhere. Yeah.
Jayhawk.
Jayhawks are all over. Omaha is about a 3-hour drive from Kansas City, and then Lawrence is about 40 minutes or so from Kansas City. So you get a little bit of sort of that close-knit rivalry there, even though the two schools are not in the same conference at all. But yes, there is some proximity there that makes it a little bit more entertaining. So Kansas moves on in our bracket. And then the final one, not a whole lot to say here, although I was a bit surprised in getting everybody's votes together. Not one person has Iowa State moving on against Miami in the battle of the two double-digit seeds. We just talked about how dominant the Big 12 has been, and Iowa State's defense is legit. They're top 5 in adjusted defensive efficiency, but there are times where they cannot score. Their offense is unbearable to watch, and Miami probably just a little too much firepower on the offensive side of the ball. It's by far and away the best offense that they will face so far in the NCAA tournament. And the other component too is that with Miami, they're going to be able to move a lot of guys around. And Reed, I think you brought this up on the show on Monday. Like, Iowa State's got some big guys inside, but if you have to move them to the perimeter, they're in trouble.
Yeah, Miami, they play 5 out. That's kind of how they really took advantage of Auburn's size. They brought Walker Kessler out to the perimeter. I see similar stuff against Iowa State. If Iowa State can't generate turnovers, they're in big trouble. So I just don't trust their offense. They've put up – I mean, listen, I'm not going to say Miami is the 85 Bears or anything, but I just think that they're going to struggle to break 60 points, which is like Miami does that in their sleep. They're just so many ball handlers. They're so good at protecting the ball, so good at shooting. I just see them outpacing Iowa State. So, yeah, I like the Hurricanes.
Okay. I want to show one thing, because obviously my bracket is busted. I did a terrible thing picking Tennessee and Kentucky in the national championship. This is the one matchup that I'm very proud of. I will show the screenshot of my bracket. Had Miami and Iowa State had the double digits in the Sweet 16.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Then who do you have going to the Elite Eight? Miami?
Yeah, I have Miami in the Elite Eight.
There we go.
That's it. I just wanted credit. I just needed some validation after my bracket got busted.
We're here for you, man.
I will say one thing. I know we're all on it, Miami here, so I'm not going to take too long. But interesting thing that I looked up is that Miami has increased their 2-point shot rate almost 10% over their last 3 games compared to their season average. And Iowa State, yes, good defense, but mostly good perimeter defense. One of the best opponent 3-point field goal percentages. But down low, they're not that great. They're like 210th in opponent 2-point field goal percentage. So Miami, strong interior offense going up against, which is exactly what Iowa State's weakness is on defense, is their interior. So I think it's a very good stylistic matchup for a good Miami shooting team. So I'm glad we're all on the same side for this one.
All right, Hurricanes move on. By the way, the Cyclones have won both of their NCAA tournament games scoring 60 points or less. Like, at some point, that's going to smack them directly in the face. You have to score more points, especially against a team like Miami. And Reed, I think you also brought this up on the show. Like, the last time they've scored less than 60, you have to go like in the very, very early portion of the season. They had a loss against Florida State where they scored 60. It was a 61-60 loss. But this is a team that will come after you offensively every chance they get. We're actually going to go, as we finish up our final region, to the South region. And I'm actually going to go from bottom up. just because we're all on the same side for another team, and that is the Villanova Wildcats. We all like them to move on past Michigan as the 2 seed, Michigan the 11 seed, doing a nice job of being a team that basically found their way in as one of the last 4 teams into the tournament, had some very impressive wins along the way just to get here. But ultimately, Villanova just kind of does everything really well, and there's a lot of confidence in them. So it sounds like our team collectively on Villanova here to move on. They are, of course, 5-point favorites against the Wolverines in the South region. And that leaves us with a fairly fascinating matchup to round things out in the South as we continue to put together our perfect second chance bracket here at BetSided. Arizona, just a 1.5-point favorite against the Houston Cougars. It got a little close until that technical foul called against Illinois, and then the Cougars decided that they wanted to just man up and dominate Illinois in every facet. Illinois' offense is fairly predictable, even with the amount of talent that they have, and Houston was able to guard them and really just shut every part of Kofi Cockburn down, who's a transcendent player in that program. But this is a fascinating matchup, and a matchup that I think we all have some differences on. So I kind of want to go around the horn here as we wrap up this final matchup. We'll go Pete, Donovan, Reed, Ian. Tell me who you like between Arizona and Houston as we round out that final Sweet 16 matchup.
Yeah, I'm going to take Arizona, but I don't really have a strong lean in this game. I think Kelvin Sampson is one of the 5 best coaches in college basketball. So that is definitely a concern for me because I really think that matters a ton. That's why I took Villanova to beat Michigan. I think this is going to be a close game, but I like Arizona just because all year we've seen how good they've been offensively. They've done this the entire season. Houston, I know KenPom loves them. They're a top 5 team in KenPom, but I just think that Benedict Mathurin and this Arizona offense might be a little bit too much at the end of the day. The one thing I will say about Illinois, and Ben, you alluded to it, they're very, very predictable offensively. Not a tough team to guard. Arizona can beat you in a few different ways. I don't love that they got the scare by TCU in the second round, but I also thought TCU was a pretty good 9 seed, similar to a Memphis Gonzaga situation. So I'm going to kind of backtrack on what I said a little bit earlier. But I'm going to take Arizona, but like I said, I don't have a huge lean, so open to hear what you guys have.
I was going to take Arizona, and right before we got on, I switched my pick. I'm not leaning, and I feel bad because we did a video maybe about a month ago, a couple weeks ago, and Houston was my best bet to make the Final Four, and I had picked them because they had been in this spot. They were an experienced team, and this is exactly what I'm seeing right now is exactly what I saw from them back then. I switched up, and I feel bad because I jumped off the bandwagon. So I'm going to be a weak fan. I'm going to jump right back onto the bandwagon. I'm going to pick them to upset Arizona. They're great offensively. They're great defensively. The one thing that always scares me in terms of defense and how we rate it is 3-point. His opponent 3-point field goal percentage, because a lot of that, while you can scheme up stuff, 3-point field goal percentage is kind of luck based, right? And so, but once you get past that, they're 9th in the country in opponent 3-point field goal percentage. They're 9th in 2-point field goal percentage. They're 3rd in block percentage. They're top 20 in steal percentage. They can, even if 3 start falling, there's other ways that they can shut down Arizona. And so I like what I saw from Illinois. From in that Illinois game, they turned it on late at the end. So I'm gonna take Houston.
Where are we going, Reed?
Yeah, I mentioned on Monday's Bet and Breakfast, I'm a little nervous for this matchup. This is high level basketball. This is number 2, number 3 KenPom rating. This is, the spread says it all. Definitely concerned with Arizona on the glass against TCU. They allowed 17 offensive rebounds. I did end up going with my Cats though. Bear down. This is the team I have a future on. I stuck with them. I just think that it's a battle of 2 styles. Arizona's top 5 in adjusted tempo. Houston's bottom 25. Going to have to. It's about whose style is going to win this one. I'm going to lean with Arizona. Number 2 in assist rate. I think that there's more answers for them than Houston's offense. I think that they could win inside and out. It was nice to see Kirk Kriisa, even though he didn't play particularly well, just to see him off that ankle injury, just kind of moving well. And I know he didn't shoot well. He shot 1 of 10 from 3, but maybe another week off, he could get his legs under him. And I'm just going to go with the more just kind of dominant offense in Arizona to will this out. And I think the winner of this goes to the Final Four. They beat Villanova either way. So I'm going Arizona. I don't feel great about it, but they're my team, so I can't leave now. Not like Donovan.
I am abandoning my team. I have a lot invested in Arizona futures, probably a little bit too much if I'm being honest. I think this is a game between the two best teams in the country. I think they're better than Gonzaga, who that bum named Ken Palm, I believe, as ranked number 1 in the country. I think this is the two best teams in the country right now. I am going to hedge a little bit here, though, and take Houston, because when heading into the tournament, as invested as I was in Arizona, the number one thing I said that I'm worried about is turnovers, because when Arizona's not looked good this year, it's when they've been turning over the ball. Well, so far this tournament, 19 turnovers against Wright State and then 16 turnovers against TCU. Neither of those teams are necessarily known for forcing turnovers, and now they're taking on a Houston team that's 20th in opponent turnovers per possession. So if Arizona coughs up the ball 15 plus times like they did the first 2 games of the tournament, they're done. They're gonna lose to Houston handedly. So that makes me very nervous. It is a little bit of a hedge bet for me with how much I have invested in Arizona, but I think this is the worst matchup possible in the tournament for Arizona. So I think Houston advances.
So I want to just say before we make the deciding factor. Yeah, no, go ahead, Donovan.
Oh, no, I was just saying go Cougs. That's it.
Okay, fair enough.
Is that their thing?
Yeah, go Cougs. I have several friends who go to U of H, so go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Here's what I'll say about this matchup, because I came in fully prepared to be swayed in either direction, and I had a lean going in. But Peter brought up a really interesting point, despite the fact that he's going with Arizona, and that is coaching. It's part of the reason that I had Villanova in my original bracket over Arizona, because you have Jay Wright going up against Tommy Lloyd that has playing. He's coaching in his first ever NCAA tournament. And again, done a fantastic job. It's not to take away from a fantastic season that the Wildcats have had, but I mean, that's a gauntlet, man. You're going through Kelvin Sampson and then potentially through Jay Wright. At some point, like, the experience matters here. And so factoring in, and I appreciate the honesty from both Peter and Reed here, I felt a little bit more conviction from Ian and Donovan on the Houston side. And so I'm going to have Houston be the deciding factor. We will take the Cougars to take that final spot, Arizona out of the NCAA tournament.
You did it again, Ian. You did it again.
The bracket has turned out perfect for me so far. I'm on every side so far. I will say it's kind of hard for me to cheer for Houston because I have so much invested in Arizona, but I think Houston's the right side based on the first 2 games.
All right. Our guy Cody, by the way, checking in. It sounds like he's in agreement with us as well. Cody's saying that I think Houston is a much better version of TCU.
Very good point.
Score.
Yeah.
And
Arizona's
TCU
got to be better on the glass. 100%. They will lose if they let Houston do what TCU did.
Okay. So we have our matchup set as we take one final look over at our bracket, because we still got to move through some of these different games. So let's go rapid fire here. We'll go around the horn, same order. Peter, Donovan, Reed, Ian, and then myself. Gonzaga and Texas Tech around the horn. Who's going to the Final Four?
If it's going to be Gonzaga, Texas Tech, I'll take Gonzaga. I think too much offense.
Gonzaga. I'll ride the Twin Towers.
Yeah, I'll take Gonzaga too. The 2 teams did meet earlier this year, and Tech held up but couldn't score enough. But I think Gonzaga gets it done there.
I'm going to flip. I'm going to go Texas Tech. Gonzaga can't force turnovers either, but it's not going to matter because I'm outside the majority already.
I'll be rooting.
I'll be rooting for a compelling game. Tech has been a really fun story this year. Mark Adams, I compare him to he's like a southern version of Bo Ryan. I think there's a lot of similarities. As like a guy that just cut his teeth in all these different divisions of college basketball, finally getting his opportunity and winning at a very high level. But I think it's too much Gonzaga there, like the Zags in the Final Four. East Region, North Carolina versus Purdue. Who do we like here? We'll go back around the horn.
Purdue, too much Jaden Ivey. I don't think North Carolina even gets to this game, so I'll take Purdue.
No, you know what? We'll go North Carolina.
Oh, UNC for sure. Matt Painter in an Elite 8 win? Please. UNC all the way. Oh God, that'd be an amazing bet.
Who drives a dirt bike in Brooklyn? UNC.
Hey, what was that?
Yeah, it's a dirt bike. Manic Mania. Let's go. Purdue's defense has issues. Foul, free throw shooting has issues. UNC.
It pains me to take a Matt Painter team, especially as an Indiana fan, but I do think they're a team that can lock down on North Carolina. And if they want to play an up-tempo game, that's going to suit Purdue as well. So I would take Purdue, but again, we are outnumbered here 3-2. North Carolina as the 8 seed moving on to the Final Four. Keep it going in the Midwest region. Kansas against Miami. Peter, who do you like to go to the Final Four here?
Kansas. I mean, Miami's been great in this tournament, but I don't think they can get past Kansas.
Kansas, straight up.
Yeah, Kansas probably gets it done. Not enough offense.
Yeah, too much size down low, Kansas.
All right. My wife will be happy as a KU grad. The Jayhawks go back to the Final Four. And then we have Houston and Villanova. That's going to be a really, really fun one. Pete, kick us off. Who's finishing out the Final Four, plays Kansas in the semifinals?
Be the best coaching matchup in college basketball history, but I'm taking Jay Wright, man. Go Villanova.
I'm going to side. I'm back on the bandwagon. So go Cougs. Houston's making it to the Final Four.
What?
Yes, sir. That's how you do it, Ian.
Yeah. Is it this? Where am I? This? Am I doing it right? All right.
I'm getting outnumbered. I don't like any of these picks.
The winner of Arizona versus Houston, I would take over Villanova. So it's Houston. I will take Houston.
It's 2 for Houston, 1 for Villanova. All right, Ian.
Too much size. Yeah. Go Cougs.
I'm just going to contrarian all these picks. Nothing that I say is getting taken, so it doesn't matter.
I was on Team Villanova. I had them originally in my Final Four, but the majority rules. The Houston Cougars moving on to the Final Four. Kelvin Sampson against Bill Self. On the other side, you have Mark Few and Hubert Davis, Gonzaga versus North Carolina. We'll take one more quick look at our bracket and how we got there before we go into our national championship. Very compelling discussion from the very beginning. I know there was one fight from Peter for Arkansas. They didn't go through. Gonzaga moves on. Donovan fought hard for the Blue Devils. Texas Tech moves on in that 1-3. Gonzaga goes on to the Final Four. In the East, North Carolina getting the majority vote over UCLA. Purdue ends up going through against St. Peter's. And then the Tar Heels move on to the Final Four, where they will face North Carolina. Over in the Midwest, KU Providence Reed made his best case for the Friars. Unfortunately, too much Jayhawks on our side. And then everybody on the BetSided team, all about Miami over Iowa State. Kansas moves on. They beat Miami. They represent in the Final Four. And then Houston going up against Arizona. We like the Cougars, not necessarily collectively, but it was a majority rule. Villanova, everybody liked over Michigan. And then Houston, the 5 seed. To go to the Final Four to play Kansas. Lot of compelling matchups. We got 2 number 1 seeds. We got an 8 in North Carolina. We got a 5 in Houston. And now the question is, will we have 2 number 1 seeds going up against each other in the national championship? So let's go back around. Number 1 Gonzaga, number 8 North Carolina. North Carolina almost found a way to blow it the last time out. Who is going to the national championship, Peter?
Gonzaga.
North Carolina's not even going to be UCLA. Give me Gonzaga.
I would take Gonzaga in that matchup as well. I think the magic runs out there.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going with the Zags. UNC's defense runs into some trouble. Zags can match UNC on both inside and out. I like Zags here. It's a good matchup for them.
What did I say earlier? How to beat Gonzaga? You got to be able to shoot the 3 ball. UNC is 42nd in the country in 3-point field goal percentage. They can hit the 3 ball. They've been on fire with the 3 ball. They're going to hit the 3 ball. Gonzaga has no guards. If Jalen Suggs was still on the team this year, they'd be national champions, but they don't. You can't win it with only 2 big men. Gonzaga had to rely on Drew Timme to get past Memphis. Not going to be able to do the same against UNC, especially with how they shoot the 3 ball. I know I'm already in the majority. Maybe I just convinced one of you two, maybe, but I think UNC moves on to the national championship as an 8 seed.
Yeah, I can't get there with you, Ian. Very compelling point. I felt it a little bit. I have Gonzaga winning it in my original bracket. I think they're the best team in college basketball that can do everything well. That's going to be like a 100-92 game between Gonzaga and USC. They'll run with them the entire time if they really want to. That'll be a lot of fun. So that's Gonzaga. They're in the championship game. On the other side of the bracket, we have Houston against Kansas. Really compelling matchup. I think Houston is one of those teams that could kind of piss off Kansas a little bit and not get them going the way they want to offensively. How do we feel about the I know where Ian's going. Coug City. We got 2 on Coug City. 3 on Coug City.
Let's go, Cougs!
Let's go!
Unbelievable. I was going to say Kansas. I no longer can. We are moving the Cougars on.
What a run.
I'm convinced that the AAC is the most underrated conference in the country.
I'm kind of convinced the winner of the Arizona-Houston game is going to win the national title. Like that right
Correct.
there. That's your national championship.
Yes.
All right.
Villanova.
I'm
Okay,
with you, I'm with you, Pete. Gonzaga number 1, 5 Houston. What were you saying, Reed?
No, like the South region, that is easily the toughest region remaining. And I think that is where you're getting your national champion from. At least that's what, like the vibe from this little, hour-long chat we've had is that we think very highly of these 3 teams one way or another.
Yeah. So now here's the real question. I know there's a lot of love. It's Cougar Town in this live stream. Gonzaga, the number 1 overall seed against the 5-seeded Houston. I see 1. I see 2. Do I dare see 3? I see Peter. I see that. Reed's going with the Cougars too.
Why not?
Let's do it.
No.
Let's go.
We got him.
Let's go, Cougs!
Go Cougs.
I love it. I'm so in.
I will.
Gonzaga can't win a national championship. Come on.
You know what? This I think is
Ben.
stemming
Do it,
from.
Ben.
Maybe I still have a little bit of anger in my heart towards Kelvin Sampson as an Indiana fan, of making me watch like 13-win basketball over 2 years with Tom Crean, my junior and senior year at a basketball school. But you know what? They say that it is best to forgive, let go of that anger. It frees up your mind, body, and soul.
Throw up the sign.
What is it? The ring finger and the thumb? Is this it?
Yeah. Come on, go Cougs.
Let's go.
Go Cougs.
Let's go.
I also don't want John Rothstein to be right with his comment about Kelvin Sampson. But again,
I mean, he is right. It's a good comment.
Let it go. There you have it, guys. The Houston Cougars, the 5 seed, BetSided, Cougar Town. We're representing. How about that, guys? That by the way, that is the perfect second chance bracket. We will, of course, share it across all our social media platforms, which you can follow us at BetSided on Twitter, at Instagram, and on TikTok as well. I don't know if you can share a graphic on TikTok because I'm old and I don't know how that works. But if we can, we will share it, or we will make sure that the fine folks on TikTok are able to find this. Any last words, folks, before we dive in, before we move on, before we go ahead and set this winner on the world?
Let's go, Arkansas.
2 words. Oh.
Yes. Let's go, Arkansas. Pig damn suey.
The must bus.
That's ugly. That's so ugly.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Peter, Donovan, Reed, Ian, Ben. Shout out to Joanne Stoner, best in the business, for directing this fun stream today. We'll be with you on Thursday for a brand new Bet and Breakfast. Until then, check us out, fansided.com/betsided. Ton of tournament coverage. We got CBI coverage. We got NIT. Whatever you need for college basketball, we're gonna go ahead and run this thing into the ground. So we will talk to you again soon. May all of your best bets hit. See you later.